The world that we live in is the matrix. The system is the matrix. And only 1% get out of that system. And it's not going against the system, it's to disregard it completely and setting in new foundation that's aligned with your spirit, with your soul, and with the universe. Hi, my name is Greta, and welcome to my podcast. This podcast is about spirituality, about growth, about discovering ourselves, about living the lives that we are most aligned with. That's our unique, authentic path. And in today's video, I'm going to tell you 7 universe laws to hack the matrix. Law of attention. Where your attention goes, energy flows. People want to live their best lives. They want to live peacefully. They want to have a loving partner. They want to be successful. But their attention is on lack and fear. That's where their attention goes. But I can't do it. I can't do it because I'm not good enough. I can't do it because I wasn't born in a family like that. I can't do it because I'm not going to be a millionaire because I think realistically. I would love to be a millionaire, but none of my relatives have been successful, therefore I won't be successful. So where's your attention going? To the millionaire part or to the part where you're in lack, where you're in fear? People say, I want to find a partner that loves me and takes care of me and is loyal and this and that. But first I need to heal myself. First I need to do this and that and this and that. Your attention is going to what you need to do, not what you can get, and not what you are actually deserving of. So where is your attention going? It won't stop. If you think that I need to do this and that to get the big prize, then you're never going to get the big prize, because you're always going to think that you're not worthy of the big prize, when in reality, your attention is on lack. I'm not good enough right now. That's why I can't receive this thing. Where is your attention going? Notice it. Even in conversations with other people, when you're thinking about something, when you're looking at something on the internet or whatever, notice what is happening in your brain, because most of the time you're giving a lot more attention to the things that are actually betraying you, that make you suffer. Your attention is on the suffering and not on the prize. Put your eyes on the prize. Put your perspective on the prize. When we change the way we look at things, the things that we look at change. Once you start taking that attention to being like, I am worthy, I'm deserving, I am love, I am all the beautiful things I can possibly be for this to happen, then you're most likely to get it. Then you're most likely to be successful, a millionaire, have a loving partner, or whatever you want to reach in your life. Where is your attention going? Is it lack or is it abundance? And if it's lack, reprogram it, reshape it to abundance. You don't have to throw it out. You don't have to run away from it. You don't have to push it away, resent it. You have to change it. Change the narrative. Change the perspective. What an abundant Greta would say. For example, I'm in the store. I really want this thing, but it's too expensive. I noticed that I just thought that. And I'm like, what would abundant Greta say? She would say, if you love that, if that will give you joy and happiness and whatever it is, then buy it. And the thing is that when we feed into the scarcity, when we feed into this lack, it grows. You won't get further by putting more scarcity and more lack. You will get further once you start changing these things that are happening in your brain. Okay? Where you place your attention, where is your perspective? I will buy this because I am deserving of taking care of myself the way I want to take care of myself. Where attention goes, energy flows. If you're putting attention on hate, on gossiping, on being a negative person or saying negative things, then that's what will grow in your life. When you're constantly gossiping about other people, it's not that those other people are going to change or whatever. It's that is what you are calling into your existence, into your reality. That's what you're manifesting into your own reality. And you have the power to change your perspective in any given moment. You don't need permission, you don't need extra knowledge. You just need to ask yourself questions. And you need to make a decision. Okay, now I'm changing the narrative. Now I'm changing the perspective. And now I'm looking from the mindset of abundance. And just because you've lived that way your whole life doesn't mean that you can change your perspective. As I said, in any given moment, you can change your life like this. Law of vibration. This one was a very interesting thing for me to really comprehend because it's kind of hard to comprehend when you haven't lived that reality you want to live. I've heard psychologists say you're so scared of what's on the other side because you've never been on the other side. Your nervous system needs to see what is on the other side to not fear it. So, how do we do that if we can get physically to the other side? For example, we want a loving relationship, but then we think, oh, I need to go out and I need to search and search and search and I need to go on endless dates and maybe they will be the one that I need. No, it's not going to happen. Why? Because you're going to attract people who are on the same vibration as you. What that means is that you need to change your vibration. If you want a loving partner, you need to give that love to yourself. If you want to be successful, find things that you're succeeding at, even the most smallest things. You got out of the bed today. How you think you're going to be successful if you can't even notice the things that you have already succeeded at? You're not matching the energy. You're not matching the vibration. You say you want a loyal, honest, loving, caring partner, but you lie to yourself. But you neglect yourself. So everything that you are going to attract is what you are internally. Everything. Partners, friends, career, life circumstances, lifestyle, everything. It doesn't matter what your education is. It doesn't matter how many dates you go on. It doesn't matter how successful you get, wealthy, or how good of looks you have. When you change internally, that's when external things change. And I know it's very hard when you haven't experienced that reality, but you can take inspiration from other people who have it. You can take inspiration from meditations, from visualizations. When I was a bit younger, I did this visualization that was one of the most, I remember it so clearly because I experienced a feeling I've never felt before. And I wanted to have this feeling to manifest my desires. You want that thing? Match it. Match the energy of that thing, of that person. You know why famous people are not really friends with very regular people? Because those regular people, they put famous people on a pedestal. they have completely mismatched energies. If that regular person can vibrate on the same level as a famous person does, basically feeling the recognition, feeling the fame, feeling the success. If you can vibrate on the same level as that famous person, then you might be friends. You don't need to be famous, you need to match their vibration. So start with yourself. What is it that you want to feel? What is it that you want to get? And how will that make you feel? And what do I need to do to make myself feel that way right here and right now? Law of belief. This is very, very, very important. Whatever you believe in is true in your reality. Maybe in anyone else's, but in your reality, it's true. If you believe that you're not worthy, it's true because you believe that. Recently, I put these like anonymous messages on my Instagram story, and someone wrote to me, everyone believes that I'm going to be successful, and they have made it, but I haven't, and I don't really believe in myself anymore. Well, then you're not going to get successful because it doesn't matter what they believe in. What matters is what you believe in. If you believe to your core that you won't be successful, then you won't be. And it's a hard pill to swallow, but that's why I'm talking so much about changing, about reprogramming your mind. Because those are all lies. That is all subconscious programming. That is all conditioning. You can make it. You can find the love of your life and live happily ever after. You can live a content life. You can go travel the world or do whatever you want to do. Buy the nicest car ever. You can do that. But it's a matter of fact if you believe you can do that. And if you can believe that, it doesn't matter how many people believe in you. It does not matter if you don't believe it yourself. Beliefs are very, very, very powerful. When I was 17, 18, I was a Christian at the time. I realized how much of my beliefs, because our beliefs control the way we not only experience this life, but how we live our lives, how we make our decisions, how we judge or not judge others, how we judge or not judge ourselves. It's extremely powerful. And that's when I had my first spiritual awakening, when I was like, what even are my beliefs? Because now I think that my beliefs are making my life more miserable. And it was true. And what I did was unlearn all of my beliefs and created new ones by the universe, by the source, gathering all of the information, everything going through within. That's why I can sit with you now, because I got rid of the beliefs that were conditioned in my head. It's whatever you believe in, it's true. And it may not be true. And it most likely is not true. Even the things that I'm saying, all of the things that I'm saying, I'm believing them wholeheartedly. And it's because it makes my life easier. I feel like it heals me, it grows me, I can manifest, I can be authentic because what I believe in. But it might as well not all be true. And I always know that. That's why one of my favorite sayings is the only thing that I know is that I don't know anything. Because we're sometimes so sure of the beliefs that we have that even when the universe gives us opportunities to grow and to open up, we're so closed off that we pass the opportunity. We pass the opportunity to grow, to elevate our souls, to open up to new perspectives, because we have this one belief in our heads that is complete lies, that is built on lies. People will do anything in their power to guard their beliefs, even if they have all the facts that these beliefs are complete BS. They will still guard them with their life. Do you understand how powerful beliefs are? It impacts everything. Listen, when I do these videos, I understand that these videos are going to be set in stone, but I am not set in stone. I know that I can drop any of my beliefs in any given moment. And whatever, how many times I've talked about it, I've stood behind it. If I feel like this belief has been built on lies, and I have an opportunity to open my mind and elevate my soul, but the sacrifice is my belief, then I will do it. And 99% of people can't. Let's talk even about blue and pink color. Blue is associated as boy and pink is associated as a girl, right? But that's what the system has planted in our heads. That is built on absolute lies. There is no reason to think that blue is for boys and pink is for girls. That is conditioning. Hundreds of years ago, it was completely opposite. There's no scientific data. There's no religious, no any data that blue is for boys and pink is for girls. But when my grandma saw that I put a blue leash on her girl dog, she was so mad and so confused. She's not a boy. La 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 la. What? First of all, it's a dog. Second of all, it's a color. What are we talking about here? Do you understand how much of your beliefs keep you stuck? Reevaluate your beliefs. What are you believing? What are the things that you believe about yourself? What are the things that you believe about the world, about your culture, about your community, about other people, about your parents, about your childhood? And let me tell you, most of these things are made up. Look at your beliefs from not the perspective of you, but the observer. If you can take yourself as the observer, not you, not your mind, not your emotions, not your experience, none of that. The observer, the third person. If you can take yourself as the third person and just observe your beliefs, see what comes up, what resonates with your soul, what resonates with your ego, and what resonates with your soul. Law of correspondence. Everything in this world is a mirror to us. Everything. Your partners, your friends, your circumstances, your environment, your whatever it is a mirror of who you are. Now that's very triggering, I know, but it's the truth. It's triggering because our first instinct is to blame other people. I blame my childhood. I blame my mother. I blame my teachers. I had this. I had that. I went through this. I went through that. But the truth is that these people come into your life to show you who you are. I remember I had this one friend who, once the friendship started to break, she started saying to me all of these things that not once I've thought about myself. And I thought, that's weird. In a way, yes, she was a mirror to me as well. What I need to change, what I needed to understand in my life. And that's what I will always be grateful for. But the reason that she saw those things in me is because she had these things. Not necessarily because I had these things. She was my mirror in a different way. But I was her mirror also in a different way. Even though we were both in the same friendship, we experienced the same situation at the same timeline. But our perspective of the situation is completely different. And then she was saying to me, "You are this, you are that." Things that I've never thought about myself. And then I went around to other friends who have known me twice, 5 times, 10 times as much as her. And they said, "I have no idea who she's talking about." And it's not because she was talking about me, it's because I was reflecting who she is. And that's everywhere. At school, at our work. For example, I'm in a meeting and there's me and other girl. And there's a boss sitting in front of us and saying, "There's this problem that you have caused, so next time do this and that." I'm like, "Okay, understood. I take responsibility for this problem. We'll do it differently next time." And I move on. While the other girl is freaking out. "How could he say that? I made this problem and all these things, and now I need to fix it. Who am I to fix it?" You know, we just experience completely the same conversation with the same person, the same tone, the same place, the same time. But our reactions and our mental state is completely different. Within her, there's chaos. So all she sees is chaos. And you can say it in the most gentle, in the most loving way. But if you have chaos inside of you, that's how you're going to perceive the information. No matter how loving of a friend you are, how lovingly you say it, how many times you repeat it, if they have war inside of them, then they will have war around them. Sometimes when I get mad about people's actions, I ask myself, what in me is causing this reaction? Because if I would be in a completely different state of mind, I wouldn't react this way. And I'm not saying this to you to be like, "Oh, you're bad," and all of that. No, the complete opposite. Because you can use other people as mirrors, these circumstances, your environment as mirrors to help you discover yourself, to help you understand who you are and where you can grow and what steps you need to take to grow. What is it in you that you need to let go of, that you need to accept? These mirrors are portals to your highest, most authentic path. They're not there to blame those people or yourself. They're there to show you how to elevate. And if you will be dismissing that information, then you won't get far. But if you will be taking that information with a grain of salt and taking this mirror thing with a grain of salt, then you will find so many things about yourself. You will find about your shadow, about your spirit, about your good side, about your bad side, about things that you are so trying to hide within yourself, that you're lying to yourself about. You will find it all out if you're willing to notice. And most people won't notice because they don't want to. They don't want to face their shadow. They don't want to be like, "Oh, actually I did make this problem, you know, and maybe I actually should improve this the next time." So what is it in me that I want to fight this situation when there's no one to fight? Use it to discover yourself, to become yourself. That's why the mirrors are there, not to put blame on you or to make you the victim or the villain or whatever it is. It's completely outside all of those things. It's for you to elevate. Law of inspired action. It doesn't have to make sense to anyone but you. When I was younger, I thought that I need to plan everything out. I need to have everything, and if I don't have every single possible detail, when I didn't even know where to start. That's the problem. I didn't even know where to start, so that's why I didn't start. You know what changed in my mind is that I realized I want this, and this is the first step. This is only the first step I can do to get there. So all I need to think about is how to make this first step happen. I wanted to create a podcast. The first step is creating a YouTube channel. That's it. That's the first step. When you get to the first step, you can get to other steps. I'm saying this because action is important, inspired action. When you get an inspiration, when you get a download from something, when you have an idea, write it down. That's already step forward. Just write it down. Because then you're showing the universe that you're open to receiving messages, you're open to receiving ideas. And not only that, you're telling your nervous system, you're telling your mind that I can do this because I already made the first step. I wanted to start this podcast 2 years ago. I was manifesting this podcast 2 years ago. The first action that I did was write it down on the paper, every detail how I see this podcast, in whatever way I knew how. And then for 2 years, there was no progress. For 2 years, I didn't do this podcast, as you can see. And now, reflecting back, I can see that I couldn't even make the podcast 2 years ago. I didn't have the knowledge that I have right now. I couldn't share those things that I'm sharing right now 2 years ago. But you know what kept me to this idea to actually make the podcast is that I've written it down. I took inspired action. It went in my subconscious to the moment where I knew no matter what, no matter how this will happen. If you want to find a loving partner, the first action is giving that love to yourself, the first inspired action. And that works with anything in this life. Just take the first step. You don't need to go far. You don't need to go 10 steps. You don't. Just take the first step. Law of detachment. Listen, all of these things that I'm talking about, I could talk about for hours about each one of these things. And I'm sure the first season is going to be very broad, this first season of my podcast. But I think my second season is going to be very, very detailized because talking about detachment, there are so many nuances. There's so many things that I just can't put it in 5-10 minutes. But what I will say is that absolutely nothing belongs to you. Absolutely nothing in this world belongs to you. That's what the system is. You need to understand all of these things. Once you start implementing these laws in your life, that's how you hack the matrix. Why? Because the system doesn't work like that. The system wants to make you think that you owe everything, that you owe your partner, that you owe your house, that you own this life. But the truth is that you don't. Anything can be stripped away from you in a moment, in a split second. Anything. And you need to understand that you don't own your parents. Your parents have their path. You don't own your partner. Your partner has their own path. Just because you have met and you feel like you're so attached to this person. I was an anxious attachment girly, okay? So I know well damn about attachment. But now I feel like I reached such a perspective in my life where detachment is the most freeing thing ever. Nothing can hurt you if you can be detached like this. For example, you are in a toxic relationship and you try to hold on to this person and you think that you will do this and this and that and you will be this and that and the relationship will bloom. The reality is that not only the relationship is killing you and makes you suffer, but your attachment is, because your worth is directly attached to this person. What you think about yourself, how you make your choices, how you live your life, how you experience this reality is completely attached to this person. And as long as your worth, your love, your life, your experience, your perception of anything will be attached to anything, to anyone, you will be suffering. It's so important to learn and master detachment because, again, nothing belongs to us, even this body. This body doesn't belong to me. My name doesn't belong to me. I am a soul that has lived hundreds, thousands, and maybe even millions of lives. This life is just a breadcrumb in an infinite cookie. Yes, it is in a way part of me, but it's so insignificant in a way. I've lived in so many bodies. And everybody, I think that I own this body. And this body is who I am. And this is who all I am. This is all I am, all the experience I've had. Listen, not only you're attached to people, you're also attached to experiences that do not serve you. Completely detach yourself from all of it. I'm not scared of death because I'm not attached to this life. I'm not attached to anyone in this life. Recently I said to people, in my belief, if something happens, if I'm in a plane or whatever, like if I need to die right now, what I will do is I will make myself calm and will accept the fact that I'm dying right now. And they're like, it's so depressing that you think that way. What is depressing about it? That I'm not attached to a life that's not even mine to keep? What is sad about it? I think it's great, actually. If someone would have said that to me, I would be like, yeah, you go. It takes a lot to detach. It takes truly a lot to detach from your beliefs, ideas, conditioning, people. But that's where your suffering also ends. Is you're no longer attached to any outcome. You're no longer attached to any person, no matter who they are, what they are, how long they have been, how much you love them. I love my parents, and I know my parents are going to die one day. That doesn't mean that I'm gonna sit here and freak out about my parents dying one day. Look, we will meet the people that are important to us, we will meet them again and again and again and again. We'll meet them in other lives and we will meet them in the soul realm. And it's a fact. Our souls are infinite. Let's start that this is not even our home. This earth is not our home. This apartment that I live in is not my home. This land that I walk on is not my home. It's temporary. This body is temporary. These people are temporary. Experience are temporary. Situations, circumstances are temporary. Everything is temporary. It's the truth. You don't own anything. Even this earth is not our earth. People are going to wars and committing evil things because they think they need to own the land. They need to own the resources. You don't own anything. Yes, you can own a car, but in 5 years, you're going to get a different car and you're not going to own that car anymore. It's as simple as that. It sounds difficult, it sounds hard, but it's simple. And the last one, law of duality. One of my favorite things to think about, to ponder about, a great, great theory that I love so much. I finally understand why is there evil and why is there good. How this life can be so good if there's so much evil around us. If there wouldn't be evil, you wouldn't know what good is. Good cannot exist without bad, and bad cannot exist without good. Every tragedy is a lesson for the collective consciousness. If we're constantly in neutral zone, if we're constantly in our comfort zone, you're not growing. You're stagnant because you're constantly in your comfort zone. And you know how we grow is that we have no other choice. We go so down, so low, that we have no other choice but to elevate. We would take things for granted. You know this trend about like turtles dying, that's why we need to use the metal straws, right? To reduce plastic straws, we needed to push on people's emotional strings. Everybody likes turtles, so I will use a plastic straw. This is marketing 101. How you can sell something to people is by pushing out something that is hurting them, the most basic marketing thing ever. Pain, value, and sell. If there would be no pain, you would not need this product and this service. Because you have pain, that's why you need this product or service. That's how this world operates. It operates on both sides. If something can be extremely bad, then that same thing can also be extremely good. And maybe you need to wait 5, 10, 100 years for it. But it's going to show if something can be extremely good, something can be extremely bad as well. Sometimes when I think of the worst case scenario, you know how people get very anxious because they think of the worst case scenario. When you think of the worst case scenario, remind yourself if something can be bad, then something can also be good. So when you think of the worst case scenario, immediately think of the best case scenario because both are true. Both can happen. The truth is that there is a best case scenario in this reality as well. Where are you putting your attention to? What are you believing in? What is the world mirroring to you? You need to understand everything goes both ways. Everything. Good thing, bad thing, who knows? We don't know. One thing can be good at first and can turn very ugly. And I've said it, I think, in every episode because it's very important to understand the duality of life. We experience positive and negative emotions. And it's just human and it's just normal. So if you're going through something, know that this is leading to something good. As I mentioned, all of these things I can talk about for hours individually because all of these things are very important. But I want to give you a general idea. If you didn't already know, I want to give you a general idea of the universal laws. If you don't understand, then you will be a slave to the system, and that is a fact. My social medias are linked down below. I actually just made a Substack where I will write my blog, and I write crazy things, honestly, there. I write controversial things, I write and will write crazy things. So I truly encourage you to go follow my Substack. I'm very excited to be creating this because there's so much that I want to say and pour out, and I think that maybe Instagram is not the best place to do that. I'm still gonna do it there. Still gonna do it there once in a while, maybe a bit shorter form things. So follow me also on Instagram for if you want to know my aesthetics and my lifestyle and how I live my life and etc. Follow me on TikTok. I have a Latvian account, Greta's Wisdom, and soon I will be creating a new account, an English account for my wisdom stuff that you can check out. You don't feel left aside because you don't know Latvian. Okay, it's okay. It's okay. I got you. I got you. I got you. And I'm so excited for everything and anything that's coming. So I'm so grateful as always that you're here and that you're watching and that you're giving your attention and energy and love and support not only to myself but to yourself. I'm so proud of you and I'm so grateful for you. So, to end this podcast episode, I'm going to end it with 3 questions that you can ask yourself to change your life right here and right now. What are the beliefs in my life that I've known since childhood that, in my opinion, if I become the observer, are blocking me into becoming who I was always born to be? Blocking me from my authentic path, whatever it looks like. You don't need to define what were you born to be as. You don't need to define what your authentic, most unique, most highest path is. Just ask yourself that question and see what comes out of it. Second, what perspective shifts can I make to help me detach from those beliefs? To help me detach from the people, from past experiences, from expectations. How can I shift that perspective in my mind to detach? And 3, what is the first step I can take to create my dream reality? What is my dream reality? And what is the first step I can take to create that dream reality? Thank you for listening. I'll see you in 2 weeks. My social medias are down in the description. I love you so much. And I'm so grateful that you're with me on this journey. This journey is crazy and it's interesting and it's only going to get more interesting and only going to get more crazy.